right.
Alrighty.
Welcome.
Keep looking at that mic.
Well, you can. It doesn't matter.
Oh, that's true.
During the video episode, we don't want to be looking at it.
Yeah.
You want to look at the camera.
The camera.
In that or books. Well, the listeners are probably confused right now. They're like, what even is this?
Uh-huh.
Is this Three Media Junkies? This is Three Media Junkies presents Spooky Pasta.
Spooky pasta.
A quick side note, Luke and I are both sick. So
We're a little sick, but we're a little under the weather.
you know, losing your voice is the best time to start a podcast.
Yeah.
So
Well, listen, we just go where the passion takes us,
Right.
right? We don't ever let the outside world influence what we want to do.
Exactly.
So we're just gonna do it whenever we want to do it.
Yeah. So, to explain,
Yeah.
we all love scary stories.
Most of us.
Most of us.
Mhm.
Maybe some people are a
The
little
old
too
people
scared.
at the nursing home don't like them.
They might get heart
They've,
attacks
they've
and die.
talked to me about that before.
Why don't they like them?
Yeah, they're just like, you shouldn't read that nasty stuff. You know,
okay.
that
Well,
sort of thing.
we like them.
We like them.
like the dark nasty stuff.
Sick nasty stuff.
Yes, sick nasty.
Mhm.
That's right. So we decided, Luke and I had this big idea that we would like, everybody likes Creepcast. This is
Yeah, I
our
love
version
Creepcast.
of Creepcast.
Right. Spooky pasta.
We're going. Yes,
Which I just realized is very similar to Creepcast.
a little bit.
It's okay.
I
mean, Three Media Junkies was inspired by Distractable. It's only fair.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
It's only fair that we steal someone else's stuff.
Exactly.
We could never be original.
No. Never.
So we're just gonna be reading scary stories.
Spooky stories.
Spooky stories. That's right.
That's right.
And maybe sometimes they'll have pasta in them.
I did think about
don't know.
doing that. Maybe for like the finale, we'll do like
Yeah.
we'll do a little pasta tasting
Yeah.
before the.
I'm not. This isn't going to be like a weekly release or anything. Like the actual pod.
It's gonna be very like it ebbs and flows. It comes out when we want it to come out.
And Hunter does not exist in these episodes.
No, but we're doing another show with. I'm doing another show with him
Mhm.
on analog horror stuff. So that may or may not have already been released. We don't really know.
We'll see.
It's all kind of up in the air.
Yeah. I have a lot of editing to do. That's
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, you
which
do.
I'm excited.
But it'll be fun. I'm so excited for you to see Monument Mythos. I think you're gonna.
I am excited.
Love it. I think
Well, that'll be fun because I'll not only am I editing, but I get to watch something.
Oh my
really
gosh,
fun
dude!
and cool.
I Monument Mythos I've loved for like years, and
Yeah.
I don't really talk about it. I don't know why, but I'm so excited for you to see it.
Shall
Shall we talk about how this idea and what the thing that spawned
you
this?
can explain it if you want
Okay,
to.
so Austin and I went. It was probably about 7 weeks. Did we miss a week
Of
going to Barnes and Noble?
I think. Well, yeah, because the last week before spring break.
Oh,
we
true,
would go.
true. Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Well, every week minus one, I guess. We try to hit up one of the 7 Barnes and Noble that are like in the immediate area of
Right.
where we were. We've been never one. We just decided which ones are the best, and the one we went to last I think was the best one.
Yeah.
And while we were there, because every time we went, we would get like Stephen King stuff because we're both into Stephen King, but I'm getting into some other stuff now. I'm kind of reaching my tentacles and other things, and we. Get it, tentacles.
Right. Yeah.
Because and every time we went, we would look at like the classic literature, and I was like, oh, I want to read Lovecraft. Both of us were always like, it looks so good, it sounds so cool. And then on the last trip, we both were like, you know what, we're finally gonna do it. So we both picked up the complete works of H.P. Lovecraft.
Yes.
All I think it's like 60 stories.
But we're not going to be reading Lovecraft.
Not this episode.
Not in this episode.
Not this episode.
In the next episode, which they'll both be coming out at the same time.
Yeah.
I think. So you guys can
pick your
choose.
poison.
You guys can choose which one you want to read.
Yeah, and
Or
how scared
which
you're
one
gonna be.
you want to listen to. But today, I don't even know what we're doing today. Luke has it all prepared.
Allow me to spin you a tale, tell you a yarn, and put you in the shoes of another.
Okay. Wow, that was really eloquent.
That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I might be a little. I'm reading a lot of classic literature lately. Anyway, I love Creepcast, and I've listened to. I probably listened to most, if not all, the episodes of Creepcast, and there was and I also, I don't scare very easily anymore, which is kind of a shame. You know, because I've been around the block a lot. I've seen a lot. I've seen a lot. I was just sharing last night. I used to be like the most scaredy cat of all time. But I don't get scared very often, but there was, I don't want to like hype it up too much, obviously, because I don't want to like, skew your opinion, but there was a story that I read recently that gave me that like nostalgic feeling of like, when like you're about to go to bed and you're like scared to close your eyes.
Yeah.
I got that again for the first time in years because of this story.
Mm-hmm.
It was really good. I don't want to spoil too much about it, but I'm really excited for it. And it is called, I forget what it's like, My Romantic Cabin Getaway Didn't Go Exactly as Planned or something like that, which is a cheesy name, like all the all those like Reddit stories. But this story was so good that it was novelized.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that kind of cool?
Yeah, it is cool.
And I was
Is
like,
it a short novel or what?
I don't know, but I was like, I want to do this the right way.
Yeah.
So I ordered the novel.
What?
It is right here.
Oh my goodness.
I was hiding it.
What the heck?
Mm-hmm. And it's
actually that's a cool cover.
It's actually called Stolen Tongues.
Oh.
Now I have not read the novel version yet. I have only heard the version that is on Reddit.
Okay.
And there were 10 parts, and 9 out of the 10 parts were good. The last one was horrible.
I'm gonna have to get my own copy now.
Yeah, you are. Yeah. I wanted to surprise you.
Yeah.
But yeah, so because that was the preparations I was talking about, by the way, because this literally came in and out like 2 hours ago.
Oh really?
Yeah. Anyway, so I have not read. So I'm kind of half blind. I'm kind of going into this. I'm like winking style, you know.
Yeah.
Because I know what happens. But
so is it a complete rewrite of
complete
the
rewrite, and he changed the ending because he didn't like the ending.
Okay.
And I don't know what that ending is.
Okay.
But I know.
You never heard the ending?
What?
You never heard the ending, like the original ending?
No, I heard the original ending, and it was like It was like really bad.
Oh, you don't know what the new ending is?
Yeah, because the author he was like, I was dissatisfied with how the ending went.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, and he wanted to write a novel to change it.
Yeah.
You know? So I'm really excited. I'm a little nervous. It's about 300 pages, so we're definitely not going to get through it all today.
No.
It seems to be broken up into like chapters, 46 chapters. And it's really
Which
good.
I will say I'm very appreciative for this idea because I have been doing a 2026 book log, and this will add some stuff to it for sure.
That's true. The complete works of H.P.
Yeah.
That's a big.
That's a good
that counts
one
for
to
at
have
least
on
like
there.
3 or 4 books. I
Yeah.
think.
And before we get into it, because you're talking about like not being scared as much anymore.
Yeah.
I went and saw a movie the other day called Undertone.
Oh my gosh, we saw that trailer for it and we were like, that looks really good.
The movie is What If 3 Media Junkies was scary.
Yeah, I know. I think it was Iron Lung. We saw that trailer before and I was like, that looks really good.
Yeah, and it was good. Don't get me wrong, it was pretty good. But I think my expectations were set way too high because everyone was saying like the scariest movie ever, and as soon as they say that, it's like you expect it to be so scary.
Yeah.
It wasn't that scary.
I don't know, dude. For me, like I've always said this, like audio is the most scary thing to me.
The audio design was the best part of the movie.
I think that
it was very, very cool, and it was very creepy and unnerving. I don't think it was like the most like I'm not gonna remember that movie for like years and years.
Right. Yeah.
It was
a memorable
unnerving
experience.
Yeah, it was a good movie.
I'm happy. I'm happy for you.
So yeah.
I'm kind of curious to see it, but like a movie's got to be really good for me to want to go see it, you know? Because if it doesn't hold my attention, I'm just gonna be sitting in the theater like dum, you know.
Yeah.
But usually they do.
Creaky ass chair.
Sorry, we were just talking about our creaky ass chair.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that'll add to the spooky a little bit. You know, if they ever are like, I creak the door open, I'll be like,
oh,
I didn't creak that time.
No.
But maybe that's not very reliable.
Yeah.
But yeah, that'd be cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Shall we get into Stolen Tongues?
Shall. It's so good. It's a good looking cover.
You already love it.
I know.
I'm so happy. Felix Black loved you.
Wait, can you read the back for all the people?
Probably. Let's see. Oh, a romantic cabin getaway doesn't go as planned.
No.
That's a reference to the original title.
Yeah.
I wonder why he changed it. High up on the winds. Yeah. High up on the windswept cliffs. Ooh.
This is going good.
And we're gonna be reading the whole time. Oh no. High up on the windswept cliffs of Pale Peak, Faye and Felix celebrate their new engagement. But soon, a chorus of ghastly noises erupts from the nearby woods. The screams of animals, the cries of children, and the mad babble of 100 mournful voices. A dark figure looms near the windows in the dead of night, whispering to Faye. As the weather turns deadly, Felix discovers that his terrified fiancée isn't mumbling in her sleep. She's whispering back. That revealed too much. But it's really cool.
Well, I know this was your idea, but we could still swap if we need to, you know.
We can go back and forth. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. I was thinking for Lovecraft, I was looking at like the page numbers. Some of the stories are like 3 pages long, and some of them are like
a bajillion pages.
Some of them are like I say the length of like Shawshank. Okay. You know, so it's like some are long.
So
like
those
will
probably be their own episode or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably. Okay. Yeah. So we can go back and forth. So also, I don't even know if this is gonna be good. I think that we should have a policy that's like we're gonna be fair. Just like a Creepcast. Like, when they have a bad story, they're honest about it.
Yeah.
We're not gonna be like this is really good when it's like definitely not.
Right.
But the story is really good.
Mm-hmm.
I can't speak for the writing yet, but the story is really good.
Yeah.
So let's get into it.
Okay.
Deep in the Rocky Mountains, at the top of a howling peak, sits a cabin. It is a lonely and unremarkable thing, nestled at the end of a winding gravel road and surrounded by a crescent of woods. There are no other houses nearby, and if not for the distant town it overlooks, a visitor to this cabin might get the impression that she was entirely cut off from this world. It is at this site that my life descended into a surreal nightmare. What happened on that mountain left permanent scars on my body and heart, but it also threw light onto seemingly unrelated events that occurred long before. And so, this story begins years prior to the incident at that wretched place. I've known my best friend Colin since we were little. On his 9th birthday, his mom bought him Bird for a pet, an African grey parrot.
I used to have one
That's
of those.
creepy.
No.
That's creepy.
Oh, no.
They're quite smart and good with kids, so the bird ended up being wildly amusing to both of us. Naturally, we tried to teach her swear words, but her first word ended up being carrot, so we named her Carrot the Parrot.
Oh, that's cute.
Okay.
What? Did you see something?
I did.
Oh.
And I never realized it until I was much older. But Carrot did a whole lot more than just learn words and repeat them. She recognized people and greeted them uniquely. She learned to speak politely to Colin's mom, but addressed Colin's little brother via "Hello, twerp." Sometimes I should do a parrot word. "Hello, twerp." Sometimes she'd even try to comfort people when she heard them arguing or crying. Usually by saying things like "Don't cry" or "I love you." It's kind of sweet.
Mm-hmm.
The bird knew people by their faces and voices, so she would sometimes get upset when she saw an unfamiliar person. When we were 12 years old, Colin and I put on Halloween masks and spoke to Carrot. It was amazing watching her try to reconcile our familiar faces with the strange new faces. You could actually see in her expression how puzzled she was. In response to some Halloween masks, she'd even shriek, "Ugly, ugly," and flap her little wings. I came to know Colin because we lived on the same street. Whenever I'd head up the walkway to his front door, Carrot would shout, "Knock, knock," before I arrived. I've never heard this word before.
What?
I'm learning a new word from this book. Obviating the need to ring the bell.
I am listening, but I'm going to order this book on Amazon real quick.
Are you actually?
Yeah.
That's exciting. Okay, at times she'd play games with us. If I walked away from her cage, she would say, "Colder, colder." And as I walked toward it, she would say, "Warmer, warmer." At the time, I never appreciated how sharp she was, but in retrospect, Carrot was cognizant of everything going on around her, and that is what made her so frightening. Ooh. This was not in the original.
I know, this is pretty interesting.
I don't know about this parrot.
What if parrots were scary?
We're gonna find out. Oh my gosh, what is parrots? What is parrots? When I was a senior in college, I started dating a woman named Faye. Colin had just recently gotten married and asked us to look after his pets while he and his wife Gabriella went on a honeymoon. At the time, they lived up in the mountains in a rather impressive old house, left to Gabriella after the untimely death of our father. It was only a 45-minute drive from our campus, so Faye and I happily obliged. I was thrilled to see the parrot again, and I keep saying, and to get away from school for a few days with my new girlfriend. I could hear Carrot's trademark knock knock as we fumbled at the old door, and she lit up when we walked in. Although she hadn't seen me in a few years, the bird still recognized me, and was even curious about Faye. There were also 2 excitable huskies named Boomer and Chewy, so we had...
Boomer?
That's really cute, yeah, Boomer. So we had plenty of animals to keep us entertained. The bird's cage sat in the breakfast nook, which overlooked a little grove of trees outside. There was a glass door that slid open in that room, leading out to a deck. Whenever Faye and I left it open for fresh air, Carrot would shout, "Up yours," and "Damn liberals." That's what I saw.
Damn liberals.
Damn liberals. And the hummingbirds that flitted by. Colin had thought all kinds of silly phrases to embarrass Gabriella whenever they had company over. Faye and I spent the first evening on the couch watching movies and laughing at Carrot's ridiculous prattle. Later that night, I found myself alone at the table working on a paper. Faye was asleep on the couch. I could just see her strawberry curls dangling just above the snoring dogs on the floor. The TV was off. Carrot had relaxed and was watching me quietly from her cage, and in that moment, I realized how dreadfully silent it was. Not just the animals, not just the house, but the entire forest outside had fallen utterly still. The quiet lulled me out of focus and crushed my will to be productive, so I woke up Faye and the dogs and we headed upstairs to the guest room. There was a brief moment at night when the brain is neither awake nor asleep, but somewhere in between. In that moment, I sometimes hear things. Distant voices or odd sounds. Normally I dismiss them as the wisps of dreams, just barely taking form at the edge of consciousness. So when I heard a noise on that particular night, I ignored it as long as I could. But the sound kept invading my mind over and over. Eventually, as I sat up in bed, trying to determine whether the noise was real, after a moment, I heard Carrot chattering downstairs. As I recalled from my childhood, she almost never speaks when she's by herself, and virtually never makes any noises at night. But now she was mimicking laughter and saying, "Hello, hello."
Oh, no.
I assumed the bird was trying to get my attention, so I went down to check her food bowl. When I flipped on the light, Carrot was staring up at the ceiling, captivated by something I couldn't see. I figured she'd spotted one of the many moths we let in earlier when taking the dogs out. The bird refused to speak to me at all. I shrugged and went back to bed. She grumbled a few more things that night as I fell asleep, but I couldn't make anything out. That's creepy. I hear voices at night sometimes. I told you about this before.
Yeah.
I have audio hallucinations. Yeah. Sometimes this is hitting a little more.
I will say that I think like one of the scariest things to me is like my own house at night.
Oh my gosh.
It's so
Skinamarink.
Yes, Skinamarink, exactly. I hate going downstairs to use the bathroom when it's dark, and I feel like I'm a little kid or something, but it's like,
oh, dude,
it's so creepy. I always run up the stairs. Like I gotta.
I do too.
Yeah.
I'm always running up the stairs.
Yeah.
I was talking to my friends about this one time, and they were like, "Yeah, I always check the shower. Whenever I go to the bathroom, I always have to check behind the shower curtain." And then I was like, "I've never done that."
No, I couldn't bring myself.
I don't think
to
I could do it. I think I would literally pass out midway through, just onto the floor.
But what's even worse, and this has happened to me before, because recently we've had a lot of wind going on in Barberton. So hearing noises in the dark at night.
Ugh.
Last night I went downstairs to get a little midnight snack, and
nice.
Only like one of the lights was on, and the wind, at least I hope it was the wind, pulled open the front door. Not like the actual front door, but we have a front door, and then there's like it's a glass door, but it's like the screen. And all I saw was I heard noises coming from the porch. I look out, and it's like one of those glass windows where you can't really see through it. All I saw was the door on the other side open, and it was like I almost bolted back upstairs.
That is so scary. That happened yesterday?
Last night, yeah. My heart was like,
dude. Imagine if that happened after.
I know, that'd be scary.
Your door is scary. My door is comedic. Whenever there's wind, the you know how I have like on my back porch is like the screen door, this little porch area. Yeah. And there's for some reason the actual door that goes into the actual house will always just blow open and wham against the refrigerator, and the dogs will start freaking out. I'm just like, it's just annoying.
It's rage baiting you.
It is rage baiting. It's rage baiting the dogs. I mean, okay, back to the story. The next morning, it was brilliantly sunny outside, so Faye and I took the dogs for a hike in the woods. We explored for a bit and returned home around lunchtime. As we approached the sliding glass door in the back, I could hear Carrie yelling knock knock and hello from inside. She flapped her little wings in salutation as we entered and whistled excitedly. Wait, the bird whistled, not the people.
Yeah.
The day carried on with more of her nonsensical jabbering, but as twilight descended, the bird's behavior changed. She appeared fixated on the sliding glass door and on a window in the kitchen, occasionally cocking her head and studied them intently. Faye was the one to notice this time, but she dismissed it as Carrie hearing owls or catching glimpses of bats near the porch. That night, as we lay in bed, Boomer and Chewie seemed agitated. They kept getting... That's silly.
Boomer, man.
Boomer. You can't do it? Damn liberals. They kept getting up from their doggy beds and looking around, sniffing in the direction of the hall and jolting awake shortly after settling down. The jingling of their collars began to drive me insane, so I led the dogs into the master bedroom with the intent of locking them in. As I did, Carrie clawed her out from downstairs. Knock, 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 knock. Feeling a little creeped out, I went down and checked on her. She was again engrossed with the glass door. There was nothing to see out there. It was just a wall of soupy darkness. Even when I flipped on the porch light, only an empty deck and the faint outlines of nearby trees could be seen.
Soupy darkness.
I like that.
What does that mean? It's like there's soup in the darkness?
It's really thick.
Yeah, okay.
I like that. I closed the blinds, hoping they'd pacify Carrie, and trudged back upstairs. The moment I hit the second floor, the bird shrieked. Knock, knock! Ooh.
Oh no.
It's creepy. My voice acting too.
I know, good voice acting.
This time, her call positively unnerved me. I jogged down the flight and stormed to the front door, glaring at the peephole with the wild expectation that a madman would be standing there clutching a knife. Alas, there was no one. That's not a bad thing. Just as an empty footpath that led down to the dark street. As I pulled my face away from the door, Carrot mimicked growling noises, then laughter. My heart fluttered in my chest. Was this a trick that Colin had taught his bird to play on me? I circled the first floor, turning on every light, investigating every room, but found nothing out of the ordinary. I sighed with defeat and sleepiness, told Carrot to shut the hell up, and went back upstairs. Sort of rude. While closing the bedroom door, I heard her cry out softly. Don't cry. Don't cry.
Bro! No, get rid of this parrot, dude.
Yeah, get rid of this parrot. Wait, it was talking about, it says don't cry whenever someone's arguing or crying. So whatever this, creepy entity is in their home or something is, crying.
What the heck?
That's so creepy.
Yeah,
this is really good.
This is good so far.
I was worried it wasn't going to. It's really good.
A parrot is, a perfect... thing to have an auditory kind of.
I was gonna say,
concept.
That's true. Yeah, I never even would have thought of that. Parrots are scary.
Mm-hmm. What if parrots were scary?
What if parrots were scary, dude? Faye laughed at me when I told her of the previous nights. For some reason, when I read that, I imagined her going like, ha, ha, ha. I don't know why. Faye laughed at me when I told her of the previous night's events. She spent that Saturday playfully mocking my credulity and baby talking the parrot. Did you play a trick on Felix? She'd ask while scratching the bird's cheeks. Carrot reveled in the attention and mumbled her pleasure. Yes, you did. You scared him good. What did you see? You see those bats on the porch? We barbecued on the patio and took the dogs for an afternoon romp through the forest, this time much farther out, and barely found our way back in the dying light. Strange noises emanated all around us from deep in the woods, prompting eruptions of frenzied barking from the dogs every few minutes. By the time we got back to the porch, the gloom had deepened to nearly black, making the glowing lights of the house look warm and inviting. Carrot, however, was not as welcoming. She cowered at the bottom of her cage beneath her perch and behind a swinging rope. She looked at me, apparently relieved, and cautiously edged out of her hiding place. Faye opened the cage and coaxed the parrot to step under her hand. What's wrong, pretty bird? She asked in a motherly voice. You hear a scary noise? Faye stroked Carrot's head, trying to calm her, but the bird kept glancing over to the sliding glass door. She's shaking, Faye said, turning to me, scared to death. I checked to ensure the door was locked, squinted into the darkness beyond it, then drew the blinds and joined Faye in her attempt to soothe the bird. Eventually, Carrot relaxed enough to be returned to her cage without a fuss, but the bird's disposition only added to her growing unease. There was definitely something strange up here on the mountain. That night, as Faye and I were lying in bed watching a movie on my laptop, there came a commotion from downstairs. It sounded like utensils being spilled on the kitchen, but I realized after a moment that it was Carrot's cage. The bird shrieked and the dog started barking. I leaped out of bed and flew down the stairs to find Boomer and Chewie snarling at the patio door. Not like that.
No.
The bird's cage lay on the ground, Carrot flapping around inside it. I raced over and set the cage upright, then yanked the blinds open. The porch was empty and a breeze set the nearby woods fluttering. I pulled at the door to ensure it was still locked. Satisfied that no one had come through it, I searched the house once again, and once again found nothing out of the ordinary. When I passed a large portrait of Gabrielle's late father, thoughts of his ghost shuffling through the halls drifted into my mind. I wondered if he was still here. Then shook the idea from my head. Faye called out from the top of the stairs, asking what had happened. The dogs heard something outside and started freaking out, I said. I think Carrot got upset and knocked her own cage off the table. The explanation didn't satisfy either of us, but it was the only one I was willing to consider. Bring her upstairs, Faye replied. We can put her up here tonight. See if that calms her down. I laughed. Are you kidding? She'll keep us up all night. My protest fell on deaf ears. Faye had already descended the stairs and walked up behind me. We'll keep her up all night, she said, stabbing a finger into my ribs.
No.
Freaky. I immediately abandoned my resistance and nodded in agreement.
Yes.
Dogs too, she said, grabbing the cage and whistling at Chewie and Boomer. They tried to let the stairs behind her, overjoyed to be allowed back into our bedroom. They, like Carrot, did not like to sleep alone, especially not downstairs for some reason. I shrugged helplessly and followed everyone back into the guest room. I don't know why that's funny to me. It's like Entourage, closing the door and locking us inside. It was nearly 2 a.m. when I woke to the bird chattering in the dark. Don't cry, she repeated from across the room. I reached over to sleeping Faye and grabbed my phone off the nightstand, using it to illuminate the room in a faint glow. Carrot was sitting on a perch, facing the bedroom door. She craned her head to the side, listening intently to something I couldn't hear, and opened her mouth as if considering what to say. Chewie ducked her snout under the door and sniffed around while Boomer sat rigid, ears perked, head jerking back and forth as he tried to hone in whatever Carrot sensed. Faye mumbled something in her sleep, but I could barely make it out. It sounded like, where they find, it's where he is. No. Boomer whimpered and Chewie withdrew from the door. She retreated to Boomer's side and sat down next to him. The bird called out, Calder, reciting the words to the game we used to play as kids. Kids.
Oh, it's starting to connect.
I hope it's not scary kids. I shook Faye awake and motioned to the scene before us, then pressed my finger to my lips. Didn't get to read it like that. She remained quiet, but her eyes screamed in terror. Even in the dark, I could see their whites. She huddled there under the blanket as I got out of bed and slipped my jeans on. Carrot flapped her wings and called out, Warmer!
No! I knew when they said the warmer cold thing.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
The dog stepped defensively, but did not bark or growl. They only listened and occasionally glanced at each other and back at me. Warmer! The bird cried, beating her wings faster. After a few seconds, she ceased her movements and looked up at me, then back at the door. It said in a softer voice, Knock, knock.
No.
Dude, he set this up so
this
well.
This is getting crazy.
I stood.
Man, we're barely even in.
I know, 8 pages.
Oh my god.
That's like the 3rd reference I've made to that in the last week.
That's weird.
I stood rooted to the floor, breath caught in my throat. The door rattled gently in its frame, as if someone had pressed an ear against it. The silence was only broken when Faye whispered, Don't open it. Her words didn't register in my brain. I reached out and... What did you say? Open it? I reached out and pulled the door open slowly. It issued a loud creak. There. And echoed through the house. There was no one there. I felt the dogs brush past my legs as I stood in the doorway. They stood before me, motionless, gazing down the darkness of the hallway. At the far end, the master bedroom door was open. Inside it was pitch black, but the dogs peered in so that they could see something. What is it? I whispered, patting Chewie's head. She didn't move a muscle. Her entire body was rigid, ready to attack, but neither dog made a sound. I waded through the dark of the hall to peek inside Colin's room, but I was stopped by a powerful wave of nausea. The walls spun around me and my legs went rubbery. I caught myself on the handrail next to the stairs. As I regained my sense of balance, Carrot said from behind me, "Warmer," and then shrieked, "Ugly! Ugly!"
No!
Her cage rattled again and Faye screamed. I bolted back down the door, nearly tripping over the dogs, who were now barking and snarling wildly. I flicked the light in the guest room to see Faye sitting in the far end of the bed, knees pulled through her chest, terror in her expression. Carrot's cage was on the floor again, and the bird was flapping around inside, still shrieking. "Someone was in here," Faye choked out, trying to hold back tears. "It felt like someone was standing right there." She pointed directly at me. At this point, I'd seen enough. We got dressed, threw our luggage together, and ushered the dogs out the front door. We all piled into the car and sped down the mountain, a full moon lit in our path. All the way home, Faye and I traded stories of all the creepy and unexplainable things that had happened to us in our lives. Most of mine involved the sounds I hear at night, and most of hers involved sleepwalking as a child.
Is there a problem with that?
This writer is he's really good.
Yeah.
Carrot watched our conversation from our cage on Faye's lap. Cage on Faye's lap, but never uttered a word the entire drive. When Monday rolled around, Colin and Gabriella surprised to hear that they had come to pick up the pets from my apartment. In the coming years, I learned from them that Carrot never spoke again.
Oh, that was an opener.
That was such a good prologue. That wasn't in the original story. He's just world building.
That was crazy.
That was so good. I'm happy it's good.
That hooked me.
That did hook me.
I'm in it.
Okay, so do you want to trade off chapters then?
Sure.
I don't know how much we're going to read today. Let's see how long part 1 is. Come on.
Oh, is it one of those things where it's like, it's in parts, so we might just have to find spots to stop?
Yeah, I was thinking we could read like 2 or 3 chapters and stop. It might take us a while since I don't know how long these are going to be, but hold on, let me just... Oh, that's 4.
That's 4,
so maybe
it shouldn't be that long.
Let's see where 2 is. It's like, I hate The Shining, where it's like part 1, and the part 1 is like...
Oh, but there are chapters, though.
Do you think we could read 60 pages, or do you think we should not do that?
How long is the episode already? Where are we at?
28 minutes.
Okay,
We'll see. We'll play it by ear. We'll see how we feel. Yeah.
We'll just see.
See how excited we are to get to the meat and potatoes.
The meat and potatoes, yes.
Or tentacles.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Chapter 1. I don't want to hand it to you. I'm scared. I don't like being at the receiving end. It feels like I'm like a victim. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like you got to sit here and experience.
Yeah.
That's what I was worried at first, which maybe still will be like that because this is how my brain works. But I was worried that a lot of the time when I'm reading, I have to go back because I like don't process what I'm reading.
Yeah, for some reason when I have another person there and I'm like thinking about how they're reacting to it, it's not as bad.
No, that's what I was gonna say. Is
yeah,
that went a lot better than I thought it would.
Good.
Cause...
Also, do you mind? Small break. Could you grab my water? I think I want to drink it during the break.
Okay, so the chapters aren't that long.
Yeah. The prologue was a bit late.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I'm very excited. We're getting into it. I'm also gonna get my water.
Lock in. Yo, chat. Lock in.
Yo, chat.
We only have. I should have gotten more water, maybe.
It's alright. If we need to, maybe after this episode or something.
Yeah, we can go.
Okay.
Oh, bottoms up.
Yep. Everyone, grab your drinks.
Grab your drink. Grab your snacks. I love when YouTubers say that.
Mm-hmm.
And always
because then I do it.
I always do, and I'm like, yeah, a little snack.
Yeah.
We're just gonna kind of chill here for a bit. I love that.
All right.
Okay, here we go.
Well, I'm ready. I'm into this.
I got my nose red.
All right. Are you guys into this?
Mm-hmm.
I'm freaking into this.
Let's do it.
Chapter 1. I hadn't seen snow in decades. Fresh powder dusted the road, and our rental car struggled to make it up the hill. It was hard to take in the beautiful view while trying not to plummet off the cliff, but I managed. To the right, an icy pine forest drifted past, and to the left, far below, lay an enormous valley. A big town rested inside it. All around us, dozens of other snow-capped mountains jagged the rim of the horizon.
Mm-hmm.
Faye was my co-pilot. She pushed a stream of fiery gold hair out of her face and studied a map on her phone. "Half a mile to go," she said. She didn't say it like that,
no.
but glowing.
Our voice acting will improve.
Yeah. Well, it'll improve once my voice comes back.
That's what I mean.
It was Thursday afternoon, and we were on our way to our family's cabin, high up on Pale Peak. Pale Peak. That's an interesting name.
Hollow name.
This is giving me like Appalachian Mountain kind of vibes, like the Appalachian trails and stuff.
Oh, you're gonna love it then.
The mountain.
I think that's where it's based. Maybe I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah. The mountain was about a 2-hour drive from her parents' house in Avonwood, Colorado. Ooh, Colorado.
That's scary.
We'd set out that morning after her mother surprised us with the key. Faye and I had just gotten engaged a few weeks earlier.
Well, this is way in the future.
Yeah. And her parents had flown us out to celebrate. This month marked our 5th anniversary as a couple. I was a graduate student working on a PhD in English, and Faye had recently begun her career as an animal keeper at a wildlife sanctuary. Yeah. So did they keep the parrot or no?
I don't know. I mean, it was Colin's, so it wasn't theirs.
What about Boomer and Chewie? We'd always talked about taking a trip, but life never stopped flinging new hurdles at us, and somehow that talk of escape never came to fruition. Mm-hmm. The time we spent together faded to brief moments before bed. It took an engagement ring and a war with our bosses to pull it off, but at long last, we were finally on vacation.
Oh.
A romantic cabin
Oh.
A romantic cabin getaway.
It was like the line.
Yeah, totally unexpected and far removed from the humdrum of California living. On the plane, I'd imagined a week with Faye's waspy parents and their immaculate house, but I was delighted when they lent us their cabin for a few days. I pictured myself and Faye wrapped in blankets by a crackling fire, sipping hot chocolate and whimsically debating the terms of our marriage. She'd demand regular back rubs, and in return, I'd be allowed to buy video games whenever I wanted.
Oh, what a corny couple.
Yeah,
oh man, 30 more chapters of these guys.
Yeah. Oh my God, Faye said, interrupting my train of thought and swatting my thigh.
Yeah. No, don't you do it to me.
Felix, look. As we rounded another corner of the winding road, a little house came into view. It wasn't much more than a cottage tucked against an idyllic tree line. The whole scene might have climbed straight out of a Kincaid painting. No idea what that is.
I'm going to look it up.
Yeah. Damn, I mumbled.
Oh, no.
The car practically died in the driveway. Faye jumped out and raced in a circle around the cabin, taking it all in. Oh my God, it's adorable! She yelled from behind the building.
It's an annoying voice.
Yeah, this was just my default woman voice. I could hear her laughter as I unloaded the car. And look back here, Felix, a hiking trail right out the back door. I followed the tracks she left in the snow. There's barely a half-inch of it, just enough to tint the earth white, but a boyish giddiness brimmed inside of me at the sound of each crunching footfall. As I rounded the back of the cabin, a brown and white snowball pelted me in the neck. Faye, I shouted, that had rocks in it. Faye peeked out from behind a pile of firewood with a huge grin on her face. As I reached down to make a snowball, she burst into laughter and took off running. She darted across the little field that constituted the backyard and then slipped into the dark woods behind it. No, don't go there. I rushed after her but stopped short of the tree line. Babe, I called out, are there like wolves and bears up here? Faye popped out of the woods about 20 yards away. There's a whole bunch of hiking trails, she replied, motioning for me to come over. I turned around and headed for the car. Hike tomorrow, sweetie, I said over my shoulder. Unpack today. And look at the view from here, she said, framing the cabin with her fingers and peeping through it. I'm gonna draw the shit out of this place.
Oh, is she an artist?
Yeah.
It's always artists.
I know,
that's like the whole bit with us.
I know, yeah, it's weird. Pencils are in the luggage, babe. Gonna take it in first. She huffed in defeat and followed me back. Interesting. Mm-hmm. The inside of the cabin was white and modern, and had obviously been remodeled over the years.
Oh, that's interesting because it wasn't that way in the...
He
literally remodeled it. He
that
changed
is
it
interesting.
That's
yeah,
cool.
That's cool insight. It didn't quite match the rustic exterior, but at least it had a fireplace. There was a combined living room and kitchen and a short hallway that led to the bedroom and bathroom. We dropped our bags on the floor and explored the place. Faye headed to the bedroom while I inspected the entertainment center. There was a newish flat-screen TV, a stereo unit from the early 90s, and a little DVD player.
Ooh.
Why didn't you tell me to bring movies? I called down the hallway. I didn't know they had a TV up here, Faye replied. Hey, come feel this bed. It's like space foam or something. She groaned in relaxation. I don't know what space foam is, but...
I have memory foam.
Yeah. What do you mean you didn't know? I said, fumbling through the drawers in search of DVDs. Haven't you been up here? Not since I was 14, and I was only here once. A lot has changed. Only once. You visit your parents almost every Christmas. You guys never spent one up here? They haven't come here in years. I think they... Oh my God, I blurted out, staring down at one of the cabinets of the entertainment center. What? Faye called. Oh, Jesus, I said, reaching a hand inside. Sorry, I gotta go.
That's okay.
Oh, man.
It's tough. I can take... My voice isn't that bad. So
I'm getting the ticklies in my throat.
It's okay.
Faye stormed down the hall into the living room. What's going on? I pulled an object out of the cabinet. It's a Super Nintendo, I said, barely able to form the words.
I forgot about this.
Yeah? So? I turned to face her directly. A Super Nintendo, Faye. She rolled her eyes. Someone here likes the Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
My dad was obsessed with it when I was little, she said dismissively. My dad was obsessed with it when I was little, she said dismissively. Then walked back toward the bedroom. He bought it for Becca, but she never got into it. I guess he brought it up here to rot. Oh, Jesus Christ, I said, stopping her in her tracks. What? She snapped, cracking a smile. My lips trembled. It's Donkey Kong Country 2, yep. I said.
He has this weird obsession with it in the story. He's like, that's like the best game I've ever made.
Like, so you bring it back up again?
Yeah, I don't know in the book, but I've played it before. I was okay.
Yeah.
I thought the first one was better. Whatever.
I held the game cartridge to my chest, embracing it as a childhood friend. I think it was more like a nostalgia.
Yeah, sure.
He's locked in nostalgia.
I have nostalgia for Donkey Kong, so that makes it a different game, but...
For God's sake, Faye grumbled. It's my all-time favorite game. It took me forever to beat. Best soundtrack ever. This is just like sponsored by Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong Country 2.
Yeah. Huh. Becca liked the music too, actually, she said.
Your music is good.
Remember, this was good. Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah. I'm marrying the wrong sister, I muttered.
Don't say that.
What the heck? Excuse me? I didn't quite catch that. Leave us, I said, tossing the car keys at Faye. This is so weird. They bounced off her chest in front of the floor. She remained motionless, unimpressed. You can go home, I continued, sliding the cartridge of the Nintendo and taking a seat on the couch. We need some alone time. I heard the keys.
I love the cringy talk. It's giving me so much joy.
Yeah, what in the world?
It's cool.
I heard the keys sail across the room and felt them smack into the back of my skull. And he died, and
that's it.
Yeah. The sun set and a deep cold swept over the mountain. I rummaged through the food we'd brought, trying to figure out what to cook for dinner, and Faye relaxed on the couch with a few of the magazines she'd picked up at the airport. Wow, Garden of the Gods looks neat, she said, holding up a picture for me to see. It was one of those must-see travel destination magazines for tourists. She wanted me to look at a spread of some weird rock formations, and my attention was drawn to a photo of a Native American headdress on the opposite page. The Rocky Mountains are rich in Native American history and lore. Virtually every place you can visit here used to be home to an indigenous community, and there was some effort to preserve that fact in the local economy, for better or worse. It is possible to find authentic Indian wares in any of the 1,000 gift shops that dot the region, but finding portrayals of natives as anything other than fantastical heroes or mysterious savages is quite difficult. Pale Peak was no different. While buying groceries in town, the cashier eagerly regaled us with stories of magic and war. There's an industry here that sells a certain picture of the people who once inhabited these mountains. Mysterious Indians who performed rituals and fought with cowboys, then vanished altogether, leaving behind only arrowheads and legends about constellations.
Yeah.
That reminds me. We never did the disclaimer of some of these stories will have probably things that are offensive.
This one isn't that bad.
No, but I know a lot of it's
Lovecraft.
The word Indian I know isn't very well received nowadays. Mm-hmm. But disclaimer for the older stories that we read that have a lot
more
controversial themes in them. We are not siding with what we're reading.
Yeah, exactly. We're also not gonna I mean, if it's really egregious, maybe, but I don't think we should censor it or anything like that. You know,
there are certain words that I will not say.
Obviously.
I'm not an English teacher. I'm not gonna just say the word.
I forgot about that. But yeah, I think it's important to keep the integrity and to study the material and critique it, not necessarily just be like, oh, it's bad because whatever. All right, continue.
Yeah. But that enthusiasm for all things Native American, however commercial, really does make the land itself feel alive and humming with memory. I leafed through Faye's magazine after she passed out, scavenging for less sensational tidbits of the area's history. As the crackling of the fire died away, other noises came to my attention. The wind whispered across the mountain in short gusts, and new snow battered the windows. A few sounds rang through the forest, probably from animals, but I couldn't make them out. They were eerie and forlorn, like the howls of dying wolves. The longer I listened, the more my skin crawled, so I took out my laptop and tested the cabin's ancient Wi-Fi. The connection was weak and repeatedly dropped while I browsed the internet.
OBS wouldn't work.
Nope. That's a reference to 30 minutes ago.
Yeah.
I gave up after a half hour and went to bed, leaving Faye on the couch. Waking her up from a dead slumber didn't always end well. Dun dun dun!
You really emphasized that last one.
Sometime around midnight, I woke to the sound of Faye's voice. Felix, babe, get up, get up. Someone's outside.
Oh, Felix.
Oh, that's so the character's name is Felix and the author's name is Felix.
I think he said that he dedicated it to the real Faye. I think he's putting him and his actual wife into this situation, which is kind of messed up.
Yeah, a little bit, but that's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, so she's alive, right, Faye?
What do you mean?
Like he dedicated to her. Okay.
Well, the real Faye.
Yeah. So they are married in real life. That's interesting. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Little backstory.
Awesome.
She stood there in the doorway with a blanket wrapped around her. She'd been on the couch the whole time. What? I said, rubbing my eyes into focus. It was dark. The only light in the room came from the moon. It poured in from the window and bathed the Fae in cold silver. Her ghostly appearance and the fear in her voice frightened me. I heard someone outside, she continued. Someone calling for help. I kicked the sheets off and shuffled to the living room in my boxers. It was even darker here. All the curtains were drawn. I don't hear. Shh, she said, grabbing my arm and holding me still. Eventually, I did hear a sound. It was the pained cry of an animal, or maybe a person. It sounded more sorrowful than injured. Faye and I exchanged concerned glances. Oog. Peek out the door, she whispered, handing her blanket to me. I rummaged through the bags on the kitchen counter and found the flashlight that Faye's dad had given us. The cry resounded again, this time louder, and seemed to say, "Leave me alone," or "I'm alone." It was so distorted by wind and echo that it barely sounded human.
Imagine just hearing that like out in the distance.
Oh, and you're in the middle of nowhere. And just, yeah, no thanks.
I don't like it.
The moment I cracked the door open, a blast of frigid mountain air stung my face. It burned the last bit of sleep from my eyes and sharpened all my senses. What?
That's a real. I know that feeling.
Yeah. Relatable.
Mm-hmm.
The lights beam moved across the desk and out into the clearing. It lit up a fluffy wonderland of snow, but revealed nothing unusual. I swept the light back and forth across the tree line, but its glow was too weak to penetrate the blackness. Nothing, I said, withdrawing into the warmth of the cabin. Probably an elk or something. Yeah, the elk. They're always saying stuff like that. Yeah. Those things make some friggin' weird noises. Probably even more so when they're hurt. Oh, help me, I'm hurt.
Wow, they learn.
Yeah, I know.
That's creepy.
Dissatisfied, Faye walked around the room, peering out each window. That was a person, Felix. You know it was a person. Maybe a camper got lost. Camping? In the snow? I asked, incredulous. Yeah, people do it all the time.
Yeah.
As a Californian, it seemed utterly absurd. You know, there's this thing called pareidolia. Not sure what that is. See, our brains... I was going to explain it.
Yeah.
See, our brains come with a kind of software application that's pre-installed when we're born. This kid's such a nerd, man. Facial recognition, pattern recognition, that sort of thing.
I was about to say he definitely uses Reddit.
Yeah, 100%. Well, he does. Yeah. And good thing, I guess, because the story came out of it. Yeah. It helps us recognize our mothers when we're babies. It helps us... Faye interrupted. Well, sometimes it misfires, I continued. You know when you're a kid and you see a shadow on your wall at night and it looks like a monster?
Yes.
Or when you see animals in the clouds? That's pareidolia.
Interesting.
It is interesting.
Yeah.
And it happens with sound, too. The wind blows through a cave or something just right and people think they hear a voice. Your brain even makes words out of it. In the language you know best. This dude is just like...
I think he's mansplaining.
Actually...
Yeah, he's mansplaining a little bit.
Faye shook her wild hair out of her face and exhaled sharply. Pareidolia, my ass. She climbed back into bed and closed her eyes. She tossed and turned for hours.
Pretty good.
That is chapter 1.
Chapter 1.
Mm-hmm.
Pareidolia, my ass. Okay.
What time are we at?
45 minutes. I don't know why it always takes me so long to remember where the time is.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like so into it. Okay. This is chapter 2.
Mm-hmm.
Morning came, and with it a symphony of bird calls. My joy at the brilliant sunny day was tempered once I looked into the driveway. Our rental car was now encased in a brick of ice, waiting to be chipped free by future archaeologists. Restful sleep had only taken Faye around 3 a.m., so she remained dead to the world long after I ate breakfast. I put a good hour into Donkey Kong, then suited up in my winter gear to go poke around the property. Outside, I found no trace of last night's visitor. No footprints pocked around the white landscape. It must have snowed earlier this morning, but now the sky was clear and blue, and the sun perched high overhead. It illuminated the woods and made them bright and inviting, so I dashed across the short clearing and took a stroll inside.
Big Creek.
Big Creek. The snow now concealed the path that Faye had mentioned yesterday, so I made my own. I promenaded between the trees, watching the frosty sunbeams that appeared and vanished before me as I moved. I lamented leaving my cell phone and its excellent camera back at the cabin. Faye and I had developed a special fondness for the outdoors, and we regularly liked in the redwoods during our time in Santa Cruz, and I eventually proposed to her while camping. Okay. Felix, a voice cried. Felix, a voice echoed from far away. Little birds and squirrels jumped around in the trees in agitation, knocking bits of snow off the branches. I doubled back to the meadow and saw Faye's face through the little bedroom window. Morning, I called. Wait right there, I'm getting dressed, she yelled. That was a good yell, I just did.
Aren't they?
Wait right there, I'm getting dressed.
Wait, aren't they, married? Why does that matter?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess. Maybe she was going to go outside. It's too cold. Her voice boomed across the mountain and returned shortly after. We spent the late morning creating a mental map of the forest behind the cabin. We often did this before embarking upon a serious hike to ensure that we would not get lost. The path we forged through the half-foot of snow took us to the western edge of the Pale Peak, where we could see down into a gorge and over the next mountain. A river rushed below, snaking between the rocks. The splendor of nature beamed from every direction, beckoning us further into the woods. On our way back, Faye thought she heard a voice. She mentioned it a few times as we walked, shushing me and spinning around, trying to locate the source of the noise. I strained to hear anything above the whistling of the wind through the trees and the fading gush of water. I think you're shaken up a bit from last night, sweetie, I offered. Then the look she shot me almost forced the words right back into my mouth. When have you ever known me to be paranoid, she pressed. I'm not some basket case, Felix. I heard someone. What did it sound like? I asked. We waded through the shallow snow, carefully following our own tracks back to the cabin. It was a man, she said. He was upset. You must have tried your mom's casserole, I replied. It was a big risk, but it paid off. Faye burst into laughter, her voice reverberating through the woods. I loved so much the way her eyes squinted when she laughed. We talked about food the whole way back, working up an appetite as we did. As we neared the edge of the wood, I stopped to take a leak. Faye wandered up ahead. Felix. Her voice came out flat and dead. As soon as the word hit my brain, I immediately felt a hot rush of panic. Something was wrong. She sounded afraid. It's a fucking bear, I thought, imagining Faye standing face to face with a grizzly. What? I whispered, sitting my fly and sneaking toward the sound of her voice. My heartbeat rattled in my ribcage. Look, she said. Faye stood a dozen yards ahead of me, between two trees. Her hand was extending in front of her, pointing at something I couldn't see. What is it? I whispered. No, I didn't even. What is it? I whispered, still moving like a soldier behind enemy lines. I rounded a few trees and tried to make out what she was pointing at. Something odd came into view. A dangling, twirling thing. I moved closer, pushing a few needled branches out of the way as I did. There was an ornament on the tree, just above Faye's head. The hell is that? I said, almost laughing. Relief washed over me, alleviating the sudden terror that we bumped into a grizzly. The thing was made of twigs and bones, expertly bent into strange and taut shapes. Pieces of ragged twine swung from it, some of them tied to hawk feathers. More string was woven through its center in the shape of a mangled spider web. It took me a moment to figure out what I was looking at, but eventually I recognized the object. Is that a fucking dream catcher? I asked, more to myself than the Fae. She remained silent. The structure was huge, unlike the fragile little ones I'd seen in bedroom windows on the rearview mirrors. This dream catcher was over 2 feet in diameter. Its construction looked frantic. The gnarled branches and twine held each other together in an unnatural, almost menacing way. Some of the feathers and bones had dried blood on them. I imagined a madman hurriedly assembling the thing, attempting to ward off the voices in his head. Who the hell put this here? Faye said, causing me to jump. I was so bewitched by the object that I nearly forgotten she was here. I don't know, I replied, reaching up to touch it. Don't, she yelled, slapping the back of my head. Aren't you the one who loves horror movies? You're gonna get cursed or something, stupid. I wonder how long it's been here, I said. Someone was just here, Faye replied. Look. She pointed to a set of footprints in the snow. They wrapped right around the tree that the dream catcher now dangled from. I made a print with my own boot next to one of them. They're roughly the same size, but little detail could be seen in either of them. They might be mine, I said, earlier when you were asleep. You didn't notice this giant thing right next to your head? I don't know. I mean, it's possible I just walked right past it. I really don't know. Leave it alone and let's get inside, Faye said, fear on the edge of her voice. If you take it down, whoever put it here will know. That's probably what they want, to mess with us. She brushed past me and walked into the meadow. Any relief I'd felt before now washed away in a torrent of dread. I suddenly believed Faye. I believed that someone who was wandering around here last night, someone who had no business being out here in the freezing dark. I glanced around the side of the tree to see Faye approaching our cabin in the distance. Whoever put this thing here had a clear view of the building. We'd never be able to see them back due to the shadow cover beneath the trees. Unnerved, I took one last look at the object and charged off after Faye. It was a short chapter.
It was. You can keep going if you want.
Yeah, I do, because I want to give your voice your rest. This section's short too. Chapter 3. Dreamcatcher, that's creepy. That evening, Faye and I tried our best to ignore the strange ornament hanging a few hundred feet from the cabin. We agreed that it was probably old, and if someone had indeed put it up recently, it was probably just to scare us. Even so, Faye spent nearly 20 minutes trying to get enough signal on her phone to call the ranger station at the foot of the mountain. When she finally did, a trooper named William Pike promised to swing by in the morning. He assured Faye that there was a popular hiking trail on the north side of Pale Peak, and that city teenagers would sometimes come and torment visitors staying up in the cabins. Didn't tell him that before.
Yeah, what the heck?
Yeah, you might get your house might get egged by teenagers. That calmed our nerves a bit. We had a candlelit dinner to the tune of relaxing world music thanks to Faye's laptop. Then we broke out one of the several board games she insisted on bringing from her parents' house. A little smile crept across her face as she pulled out Scrabble. When we first met, while hanging out in a big gathering of our mutual friends, she won the game by laying down the words for denied across my word date. Wholesome. Yeah. This couple is so cutesy-wootsy, dude. Between songs, something bashed into the kitchen window. Faye rushed to silence her laptop as I went and inspected the glass. It was unbroken and the impact sounded muffled, so I assumed the noise was caused by a wayward owl. Flashlight in hand, I headed outside to look for a dead bird in the snow, and found nothing. While closing the door, a faint voice called out from the woods. More snow was beginning to fall, and the wind intermittently kicked up, so I couldn't be sure of what I heard, but it sounded like, "Where'd you go?" Or, "Where did you go?" I stood there for a long time, listening carefully, but heard only the eerie howls of the wind. As it rushed and seeped through a million branches, it occasionally formed the sounds of a human voice. I shuddered and dismissed the idea that someone was out there. We turned in early. I struggled to fall asleep, but eventually did, only to be shaken awake by not 10 minutes later by an agitated Faye. "Felix!" she whispered, rattling my arm. "Get up! Someone's outside again!" My eyes shot open at her words. Without responding, I leapt out of bed and grabbed my pants. I'm assuming they were off.
Yeah.
Faye sat up, one of the sheets defensively to her chest. "He's walking around out there," she pointed towards the front of the house. I held still, trying to listen for a movement, but heard nothing. "Are you sure you aren't dreaming?" I asked loudly, prompting her to shush me. I held still. The crunching of snow broke our silence. Something was tromping around the side of the cabin a few yards out. It circled the house, pausing briefly at the back door that led into our bedroom. The footsteps then continued back around towards the living room. "Son of a bitch is casing the house," I whispered back, trying to figure out how to get in. I stormed out of the room and grabbed a flashlight. I threw the front door open and blasted the darkness with the light's brightest setting, only to find a thick blanket of snow gleaming up at me. Snowflakes washed through the air in tidal waves, obscuring my vision and giving cover to anyone who might be sneaking around out there. The footsteps I'd heard a moment ago vanished into the wind, and after a while, even the breeze receded into the night. Not satisfied, I closed the door and scrambled around the cabin, pointing the light through each window. There was no sign of footprints on their maker anywhere. When I returned to the bedroom to check the back door, Faye was gazing out the window, motionless. "You see something?" I asked. I looked everywhere, couldn't find anything. She gave no indication that she'd ever heard me. "Faye!" "Someone was out there," she said, turning towards me. Her voice was determined and sharp. "Could have been a bear," I offered. I didn't really believe that, but the look on her face demanded reassurance. "They come up to houses and cars all the time and they smell food. I mean, come on. Nobody's out there playing practical jokes on a night like this." "What is with you lately?" she said, her face sitting back on my heels. "You don't believe anything I say. You're telling me that was an animal? Do you have ears? It was walking on 2 fucking legs, Felix. Some freak is coming into the cabin at night." I sank down to the bed and looked up into Faye's eyes. "I'm sorry, sweetheart," I said. "I'm not trying to make you feel crazy. I'm just not ready to accept that we're being stalked on a mountain 6 miles away from the nearest town, in a blizzard. The ranger will be here in the morning, okay? Then we'll get some answers." Oh my god.
Wow.
One moment, please. Shoot.
Stop pausing it.
I think we're on pause.
Yeah, we're on pause.
Okay. Sorry, when our tongues got stolen.
Yeah.
From reading the spooky book. Okay, so I was gonna talk about something. I had a small talk. Let's see what I had here. They're talking about 2 legs, walking on 2 legs, cabin at night. I've stayed in a cabin before. It was a while ago. Have you ever heard of Hocking Hills? It's kind of near where we are. I was a cabin up there, and
I've been wanting to go there. Actually,
you should go there. I think cabins are really. I don't know. I think they're really really. I like staying in them a lot, but it is creepy. I kind of like that about it. I like creepy stuff. So, but I just remember it had this like huge staircase that went up to the 2nd floor, and I felt very like regal going up it. You know?
Pretty cool.
But this is bringing back some. Oh, also things walking around like outside your place at night. There was something about that too. I have a vague memory of something about that, but now I forgot it. Maybe it'll come back.
Yeah.
Maybe like Breath of the Wild, where he goes back and gets those memories.
Right.
That's what I'm doing with this. Okay. Okay. I sank down in the bed and looked up into Faye's eyes. "I'm sorry, sweetheart," I said. "I'm not trying to make you feel crazy. I'm just not ready to accept that we're being stalked on a mountain 6 miles away from the nearest town, in a blizzard. The ranger will be here in the morning, okay? Then we'll get some answers." Faye slipped in the bed and turned her back on me. I touched her shoulder softly, but she shook me off. "Someone was trying to look inside," she said with finality. Oh, because they were standing by the window.
Right, yeah.
It's not look outside, it's look inside.
Exactly.
It took me a long time to fall back asleep. It's so rude of Faye to just say something really creepy.
Yeah,
like,
right. Yeah.
Faye was restless and mumbled indecipherable things for hours.
No.
Okay.
Something weird's going on with her.
That was sort of an offhanded comment.
Yeah.
I lay there in the dark, trying to make sense of her incoherent ramblings and imagining the things she must have been dreaming. My thoughts became more abstract with the passage of time, and eventually they blended into dreams of my own. I don't know how long I slept. A cacophony of shrieks and sobs dragged me from my slumber. I fumbled for the light amidst Faye's deafening cries, wondering if so, and I tried to get in through the door in our bedroom. When my hand found the light, its brightness silenced her. She covered her eyes, shaking all over. I immediately recognized her state. She'd had a nightmare. I grabbed onto her and squeezed tight, which is my standard remedy, and it usually worked. "It's okay, baby, it's okay." She sobbed into my chest, but eventually her breathing slowed. "What was it?" I asked. "Do you want to talk about it?" It took Faye a moment to get her bearings. She gazed around the room in confusion, shielding her eyes and pointing at the light. I turned it off. Faye has an undiagnosed sleep disorder. She regularly talks in her sleep, usually funny things like sassing her coworkers, and sometimes sleepwalks. She even suffers from sporadic bouts of night terrors, which were a bit like nightmares, except the monsters and killers don't disappear when she opens her eyes. Instead, they spill into the room and remain for very real for several moments, causing her to freak out when she's awake. You know what they're talking about?
Yeah.
Sleep paralysis.
Yeah, I've had that before.
Oh, dude.
It's terrible.
Have
you had it?
I want to so bad.
You want to
I think that'd be so cool.
It's the most terrifying thing
that's why
ever.
I want it, dude.
I hate it.
Sounds cool.
It's so bad.
All of our sleep disturbances are triggered by stress. Things like job changes or money problems will send her into week-long episodes of terror. Faye pulled herself away from me and leaned against the headboard. She wiped her tears from her eyes. "I was in the woods," she said, pointing a shaking finger at her window. I caressed her other hand and nodded my attention. I was naked, just standing there watching. Someone was up ahead past the trees. He was digging in the snow, really frantic. Digging into the ground beneath. And he looked up and saw me watching him. Then I was running, trying to find my way back, and he was following me. But he didn't have a person. He felt empty. He didn't feel like a person. He felt empty. Like he didn't have a soul. "Jeez," I said, squeezing her hand. "But you're okay. You're right here. You never left. It was just a dream." Faye squeezed my hand back. "I think he wanted to eat me," she said. She twiddled nervously with a tangle in her hair. I could feel this terrible hunger that she had. Like he was hungry for 1,000 years. My stomach churned. Thoughts of an eerie dream catcher invaded my mind. Of the eerie dream catcher invaded my mind. Okay, it's getting creepy now. Are you ready for chapter 4? You want to read this one?
I'm ready, yes.
I'm gonna... Well, this might have been a better visual gag.
What's that? You're just gonna hold it?
Just in case.
Oh, okay. The Bible.
The Bible. I'm just gonna keep the Bible with me in case...
The New American Version.
Any creepy things happen and I'll be like, "The Lord!"
Yeah.
You know.
Okay, so this one... What's up to you?
Chapter 4.
Alright.
You already know.
I do like that it's kind of interesting how this is a book, yes, but it also just reads like those Reddit stories.
I know.
Like r/.
It's interesting, isn't it?
But it's pretty cool.
I like it. I like
that kind of writing stuff.
Dude.
Chapter 4. It was Saturday now, and the morning was not nearly as jovial. Faye and I both awoke exhausted, and were dismayed to find the windows completely caked with ice. More than a foot of snow had dumped down on the mountain during the night, and plenty more was still coming as I opened the front door. The woods had disappeared, completely shrouded behind a wall of falling flakes. I could barely make out our poor rental car in the driveway. There was something else out there, too. A trail had been forged through the snow on the deck. It snaked around the side of the house. I reasoned that it must have been freshly made given the rate of snowfall, and it was rapidly vanishing even now. Could it have been the ranger? I prayed that it was, but my gut told me that no one was coming to save us in this blizzard. The one road that led up here was an icy death trap with zero visibility. Only a crazy person would be outside right now. Uh-oh.
Well, someone was outside, so we'll see about that.
I winced at the thought and slammed the door shut. Faye and I stayed inside with the heater on, trying to distract ourselves from the eerie hush that had descended upon the landscape. Our romantic cabin getaway wasn't going exactly as planned.
Oh my gosh! Title drop!
But we still had each other, and I was hoping that was enough to salvage the rest of this trip. Do you remember the first time you had one? I blurted out, breaking an hour-long silence.
Ooh.
I fiddled with the router while Faye lay on the floor playing Super Nintendo.
Of course.
Had what? She said, distracted. You know, night terrors. The sounds of little monsters being knocked into a swamp issued from the TV. I was a little kid. The earliest one I remember was of my mom leading me down into our basement. My dad had a big entertainment center down there, so I was never allowed to go by myself. They thought I'd break it. Sounds rough, I interrupted. I wish our house had stairs growing up. In fact, I wish we had a house.
Okay.
Alright. No way to trauma dump on me.
Yeah, oh my goodness.
Faye took her hand off the controller long enough to flip me a middle finger. We both laughed. The staircase was long, she continued, at least in the dream. I don't remember if it really looked like that, but we fell down it, both my mom and me.
Oh.
As we fell, it got darker and darker. I woke up before we reached the bottom, but I remembered seeing a face down there.
Oh.
A really scary one. looking up at me, waiting for me.
She's like casually talking about this while playing a game. I don't like that.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, just a thing that happened.
Yeah. When I woke up, it was still there in the room, then slowly faded away.
Oh my gosh. Faded away?
Yeah.
Fade.
You're freaking scary, you know that, I said.
You're
You should see me when we're out of chocolate, she replied. What do you think causes them? Night terrors? Yeah, I mean for you. Why you? Why not your mom? Rebecca? My dad had them, she said, pausing the game. I gave up my tinkering and slumped onto the couch. Faye joined me. He doesn't seem the type, I replied. Oh yeah, a couple of times when I was a kid, I remember hearing him at night. He was a medic in the late 60s. I learned more about him while I was asleep than from talking with him for 26 years.
Ooh.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It made sense. Greg was absolutely grizzled and had all the personality of stone. He seemed out of place in his big, beautiful house. Does this still happen for him, I asked. No, it stopped a long time ago. They came all of a sudden and then disappeared shortly after. I guess I'm the lucky one. Faye hammered away on the game, occasionally swearing under her breath. I'd nearly fallen. Yep.
Shit.
I'd nearly fallen asleep next to her when a wail from outside startled us both. Every night with this crap,
oh my
man.
Gosh.
Some stuff's always going on.
They're never letting them leave. Or sleep, I meant.
Yeah. I sat up, listening. Faye had a 1,000-yard stare on her face. When the voice cried out again, her brow furrowed in confusion. Hello? It called.
Oof.
I scrambled to shut off the heater so we could hear better. I give up. Please. The voice sounded distant, maybe a few hundred feet away from the cabin near the edge of the forest. Faye jolted straight up from the couch and marched to the front door. She swung it open and stood there, ignoring the wind that battered her face and the snow that toppled under her bare feet. The voice babbled at length, but was interrupted by gusts of wind. I couldn't make much of it out.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, this is very, very scary.
I don't like it.
An equally strange noise erupted from Faye's mouth. It wasn't a gasp of fear, but rather one of anguish. It was the kind of sound you'd expect to hear from a family in an emergency room when the doctor approaches with an apologetic look on his face.
What?
It's Grandpa, she said in a horrified voice. That's my grandpa. What? What do you mean? It's him, Felix, she shouted, clutching the open door's knob like she was going to rip it off. He's out there. I hear him calling. I had no idea how to respond to that. It was impossible. I approached Faye and held her from behind, listening to the voices that sailed into the cabin in violent bursts of wind. Where is everyone? The man called out. Fear and misery hung on his words. Please, I'm lost. Grandpa, Faye shrieked into the blizzard. We're over here. I'm coming. She tried to tear away from me and dart off into the snow.
Don't do that.
I yanked her back and wrestled her into the house, screaming for her to calm down. I tried to tell her that it wasn't her grandfather, but she fought and screamed. Get off me, she raked and clawed at me like a tiger. Let me go, Grandpa. I managed to kick the door shut with my foot, forfeiting my balance in the process. We toppled to the floor as one, crashing into the bags we'd left in the entryway. I held Faye like a living straitjacket until she finally went limp. She burst into tears. What the fuck is going on? She asked, sobbing. I knew she didn't expect an answer. Creepiness, I gotta clear my throat here.
Imagine hearing your grandpa in the woods, dude.
Mm-hmm.
That's so scary.
Yeah. Very scary.
You didn't do your grandpa voice, did you?
Well, yeah, because at first I didn't know it was an old dude,
yeah.
so I was like, okay.
And also might be good for your voice to do that one.
Yeah, right on. I'd only met Faye's grandfather once, at her sister's wedding a few years ago. Alfred was a charming old man who loved cigars and muscle cars. We knew virtually nothing about him because he worked high up in the government and never talked about his life. But he was very open about how much he loved his granddaughters.
Oh.
So kind of have some connection to the government or something.
Oh, no.
After the reception, he asked me if I was thinking about becoming a member of the family. Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I told him I couldn't imagine my life with anyone else, and said that my mother was very fond of Faye. This seemed to really score points with him, and he jokingly told me he'd vouch for me.
Oh.
Nice, thanks, Grandpa. I tried to joke back and said something along the lines of, well, if I'm going to be in the Klan, there's something I've got to know. I've always wondered about Area 51.
Go for her.
Alfred took a long drag on his cigar without taking his eyes off me. His face became totally void of expression. Through a noxious cloud of smoke, he breathed, "What's Area 51?
What? He doesn't even know.
He works in the government. He should know.
Doesn't even know. Maybe he's trying to, play dumb.
Alfred dropped dead of a heart attack not 3 weeks after
I knew
the
it
wedding,
was coming.
and the news of his passing broke everyone's heart. It horrified me to admit that the voice outside the cabin sounded just like him.
Oh my god.
But unlike Faye, I wasn't willing to risk my life to go outside and rescue someone that I knew to be dead. I kept my eye on Faye as she rested in bed, sipping hot chocolate and shivering with disquiet. A movie played on her laptop, but she ignored it. The experience had shaken her up badly, and now I watched her torturous effort to reconcile the voice she heard with the knowledge that her grandfather was long dead. With each passing second, I had the morbid expectation that the voice would cry out again and send Faye into another explosion, but thankfully it never happened. It was him, she'd assert every few minutes. I knew his voice. I know his voice. I know it was him.
I'm getting chills all over again. I've already read this.
I know, this is insane.
It's so creepy.
I alternated between trying to call the ranger station and trying to get online to email them, but both attempts failed. At long last, just as the sky darkened to thrust another terrifying night upon us, I went out to check in the car. In case these odd experiences came to a head, I wanted to be sure that we had an exit plan, even if it was a dangerous one. Outside, it was colder than anything I had ever experienced in my life. It was early spring, and Faye's parents had assured us that the worst of the snow had passed. But standing there on the porch looking out at the landscape, I felt a ghastly chill even through my winter gear. The cold brought with it the silence of death. Not a single animal made so much as a peep for miles. Only the air itself made sounds as it whipped across the valleys and sprayed bits of ice at me. The car was a popsicle. A 2-inch layer of ice glazed its windshield.
Nice metaphor, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not how that works. And icicles hung like jagged teeth down to the tires. What's the freezing point of gasoline, I wondered. Even worse, I couldn't make out the... Yeah, it was interesting.
That's scary.
Even worse, I couldn't make out the road at the end of the driveway. Everything was obscured under a blanket of pure white.
They're stuck.
They're
trapped up. They are cooked.
Yeah. In this blizzard, I wouldn't even be able to see the guardrail that would keep us from plunging to our deaths. There was no way a ranger had made his way up here this morning. There was no way we were getting off the mountain. At least not tonight. As I stood there reforming the exit plan, I heard a woman talking. She wasn't far away at all and seemed to be in a good mood.
It was Faye.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, stop it, she said in a thick Bostonian accent. I don't know.
Oh, stop it. That's
Is that it?
No.
I don't know what Bostonian is.
Me either. Well, I know it's from
Boston?
No. Wait, is it?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Stop it.
Okay, sure. Whatever.
She laughed my mother's laugh.
Ooh.
Look there. Look at the windows. My brain instantly cramped. I could almost hear the blood water falling on my head. A freezing feeling replaced it, followed by the sensation of all the muscles in my legs clenching up. Hello? I said. The word died just outside my mouth. Hello? I tried again, louder. You are too, she replied. Did you see it? Up in the trees. I managed to regain command over my legs and circled the car, edging closer to the source of the voice. Mom? I asked, unable to believe what I was hearing. Ooh, it's using their loved ones. Was this in the original?
Oh yeah, it was.
It was?
But it was not this effective.
Wow.
Oh.
Unlike Alfred, my mother was alive and well, 2,000 miles away in Massachusetts. The woman unleashed a string of phrases, laughing hysterically. She dipped into a language I'd never heard before, then resumed speaking in English.
That's so scary.
Yes. I couldn't make most of it out, but it almost sounded like things she'd say at a dinner party. Dinner party. They're on their way, she yelled. Her voice receded further into the distance. I took a few more steps toward her, calling out again. She always responded, but never directly replied to my questions. Suddenly, I got the feeling that I was being coaxed into the woods. I turned on my heels and dashed back to the cabin. The little thing seemed too far away. Its warm glowing windows felt like lights disappearing at the end of a tunnel. Down in the hole! The voice shrieked behind me. Put him down there! A flurry of incomprehensible babble followed. A lightning bolt of fear struck me, giving me the turbo boost I needed to practically drive into the cabin.
I'm just imagining these voices, he's just standing on his porch and looking out, just hearing the echoes on the mountains, you know.
Put him into the hole.
Put him in the hole. No.
Down in the hole.
Down in the hole, yeah, whatever.
When I was 16 years old, I smoked pot for the first time in my buddy's garage. All right.
That's not in the book. Austin just said that.
Yeah. That's just a confession here.
Yeah.
It had a full-blown panic attack. It's happened to me.
Yeah, that's what to say.
That event seemed to unlock a hidden trove of anxiety buried deep within me, and the attacks continued for months afterward. Eventually, I visited a doctor who referred me to a therapist, and together we developed coping strategies that helped me avert the attacks and deal with my anxiety before it pressurized and exploded. By the time I was 22, I had my demons under control, and the panic attacks disappeared. I was even able to get stoned like a normal college kid.
Yeah.
But standing there in the living room of the cabin, listening to the impossible voices outside, revealed to me that I had not at all learned to cope with my anxiety in a healthy way. I had simply learned to bury it deeper, and now all of those demons came rushing up to the surface.
Ooh, I don't like that.
No.
Because I could be doing that too, you know? Maybe I could have been burying it rather than getting rid of it. I don't know.
I collapsed to the floor and sobbed. My entire body shook. And this is already so intense, we're barely even into it.
Oh, I'm telling you, dude. It's
going to get crazy.
It is.
All my muscles turned to stone. Wave after wave of nausea pounded the back of my throat. I tried to remain silent so as not to disturb Faye's rest, but I knew now that there was something far worse on the mountain than pranksters or peeping Toms. I resolved to stay awake all night long, to protect my partner, and to prove to myself that I wasn't losing my mind. Can we leave it off?
I think that's a good place to leave it.
That's a good spot. Ooh, we're into it
so
now.
You like it?
I like it.
I'm glad you like it. It left such a big impact on me.
Mm-hmm.
There was one part that wasn't... Oh, sorry. The audio probably isn't... I'm way over here. There was one part that wasn't in it where, like, the very first voice... I guess I can see why he did it because, like, I think it's more effective that way. But the very first voice that they hear, that voice, like he said, like he just heard someone screaming out in the forest, and occasionally it would just dip down into another language you didn't understand. And that, when I heard that for the first time, I was like, "This is a good story."
Yeah,
that's creepy.
Yeah, it is creepy.
Wow, this is a tall book. Okay, I'm placing it on the shelf now. Stone Tongues. It looks good.
Very cool.
Whoops. So, do you have any theories on what could be going on up there?
I mean. It seems, whatever it is, maybe it's some kind of entity or something, but it seems like it can borrow voices.
Which is always scary. Mimicry is always scary.
Always. So it can tap into the psychological, get into your mind.
Yep.
That's very clear. But, I mean, we don't have enough information just
yet.
Not enough
information.
Yeah. But I'm also wondering how this connects to the prologue with what happened with the bird.
I actually do too, because
the bird. The bird.
The mimicking.
Yeah, it's coming back.
I actually wondered too, because the prologue wasn't in, unless the prologue was just like a mood setter. Because I'm pretty sure it wasn't the prologue on the same mountain. Was it? I can't remember. I think that was the idea. But anyway, really good. I'm happy you like it.
Yes.
It was a horror story that left a big impact on me when I first heard it. So, I hope that was a good. Yeah. Either first or second episode for whichever one you listen to first.
That was great.
Listeners, yeah, that was fun.
Or what gave him the idea to write The Stand. Cool. And there will be like really interesting, really scary, like stories and like disturbing stuff. And then there will be some, like the last one that I just read, that was about little like G.I. Joe figures coming to life and like trying to kill this like hitman dude, and like he gets trapped in like the bathroom and they like wage war with him and they're shooting like rocket launchers at him and stuff. It's like
Toy Story, like the little green army man.
Yeah, what if Toy Story was scary? That's what it was. And it was,
exactly. And that's pretty cool though.
It's like it was like this action thriller. He like goes out on the side of this like 40-foot building or whatever and just like is like it's so bizarre.
Honestly though, I do kind of dig that. It's like you'll never know what you're gonna get. Like every story is different.
Yeah.